Not so long ago, I got injured in jiu-jitsu, which was an absolute blessing in disguise, and it not forced me, but it put me in one spot, and I was fairly immobile for a while, and I decided to write a book. It's called Serious Playfulness: Guide to Freedom, and it's there for anyone and everyone to download. And I really put a lot of effort into it. It has a lot of really cool references. It's all reference-based material. So I've done a lot of research into playfulness and adventure to try and help people. So the idea of this video and the next sort of series of videos is for the non-readers out there to get a little bit of an idea of what the book is about. So for starters, there is a little bit of a section about me, just to give my background. So I have always been a traveller, always been an adventurer, always been very outgoing. I've done sports all my life, ranging from, starting with horse riding and swimming and kite surfing and surfing and jiu-jitsu, and now sort of more mixed martial arts and different styles of martial arts. And at the end of the day, it all just comes down to movement. And that's the same within my profession. So I have a master's degree in osteopathy, which is all about movement. And if it doesn't move, generally it doesn't work. And that's what we were working with. So the principles in osteopathy are structure governs function. And that's true for life, really. So I've always wanted to be a healer. I've always wanted to be a helper. I've always wanted to help others, and that's where I've found my life's purpose. And that was what brought me into osteopathy in the first place. But then I had some major life changes and some major learning curves through the use of mother ayahuasca, which is a ancient plant root that from Brazil in the Amazon, and it is used by shamans to, anyway, different people use it for different things. It's an absolutely incredible experience, and I was able to learn that I will never heal anyone until I've healed myself. The same way you can't love anyone until you know how to love yourself. And then so that was a massive realization. So in that, the focus then got drawn back, and I started to realize, okay, I really do need to heal myself. And the course that I was in, the osteopathy, was a very stressful time in my life. For whatever reason, the universe just felt like now was the time to throw the challenges. So I found it very, very challenging. And hey, Mr. Wasp. And that was around about the time that I discovered the gym. I always had my dog with me, and I was always walking, and all the rest of it wasn't quite cutting the mustard. And so yes, I joined the gym, and it was through movement, and it was through working with the mind through movement, because again, I'd done meditation and yoga, and I was really trying to get a hold of myself. But I was finding it so challenging. So into the gym I went, and training. And it was through the training of the body that I developed this training of the mind that was just incredible, and what I needed and what I was looking for. And so through that I decided to then enter a bodybuilding competition, which again was just like a huge learning curve, and mostly mental. The mental capabilities that you need to get up and train when you're absolutely right, to restrict your diet, and to do it all over again you know, day in, day out is massive. So huge respect to anyone that's competing or challenging themselves on any level, really, you know, because again, it's you soon realize it's just mind over matter. That's all it is. And if you can get the mind to work for you, you're laughing. So it was not long after the bodybuilding competition that I then sort of fell into jiu-jitsu. And I was training. And now this was my new thing, and it was real, and it was different, and it was full on, and I absolutely loved it. I loved the discipline. I was turning up for training every night, and I decided 5 months after starting, I was going to go and compete. Didn't tell anyone in my club until about a week before. And just went for it. I never fought a girl either. We didn't have any girls training in our club, so I was only rolling and sort of sparring with guys, which is actually true for most women that do jiu-jitsu, or anyway that started jiu-jitsu previously, because there aren't as many women doing it. So anyway, I went into this competition, and again, like, huge learning curve, like massive challenge, and dealing with yourself in those situations is when you really deal with the real self, and it's when you deal with your reactions, and that's the point of, I've discovered, with training, is you're training your actions so that when it comes time to react to something, you generally fall back on what your nervous system knows, so what you've trained. So if you're training to react, like act in a certain way through training, then your reactions become, you know, they become much more orchestrated because you've trained them. So you're a lot more in control of yourself, and because of that, you can allow yourself to let go and lose control in a sense, because you know, or a part of control, because you know that deep down within you've done so many repetitions, you've done so many hours of training, you can fall back, you can let go of that conscious mind, and you know have that self-belief that you can do it. And I'll never forget going in, because that week it was tough. I'd injured my neck, I was ill, and I had everyone say, look, you know, you don't have to do it, and this and the other. I was like, no, being stubborn as fuck. No, I'm going to do it. Persistent, stubborn, I don't know. And I remember a Shaolin monk, or a lad that had trained with a Shaolin monk, saying to me, okay, grand, just trust your body, trust your training, stay calm, stay focused. So that was me. I had the piano music on, keeping calm, keeping focused. Because I always had a problem with stress. Well, actually not really, only through this course. Becoming more stressed because of the exams, because of the pressure, because of the responsibility. It built up this stress, and I was just walking around with stress, and I never knew how to deal with it. And dealing with real stress, it makes the other stresses so much more easy to handle. So that's where I was sort of coming from, and I would love to get my patients to train jiu-jitsu, or to go to the gym and to train, but more often than not, unless they're this, sportsman, grand, but more often than not, they're not at that stage yet. And it was about getting something that was universal, that I could give to people on a much larger scale, to help people, to help my patients, because that's my sort of little circle. And then now this circle, because this is now broadening my circle. And I found that within adventure, playful mindsets, and playful adventures, particularly within nature. Adventures in nature, surfing, you are playing with the water, you are playing with the waves, you are being playful. And we're all playful creatures. There's a really cool I just printed this off. This is actually from the book. So the introduction from the book, I'm going to read the beginning. So, how do we know the world? What is real? What is illusion? And where does the sense to differentiate between the two come from? And how do we develop that all-important innate intuition? Now, if you're thinking, imagine a world without play. There is no curiosity. There is no spontaneity. All the boundaries are rigid and all the activities are purposeful, lawful, and prescribed. There are no games, no jokes, no fantasies, and no imaginations. What does this world look like? Does a world even exist under these constraints? So I wanted to build the picture that we are naturally a playful species. That's how we have evolved. And not just our species, most species, that's how we evolve, is through play. The difference, this is a quote from, or a reference from a lad called Graham Gordon, 2014. The difference between play and creativity is that while creativity produces objects, play produces possibilities. Play makes creativity possible, while creativity manifests possibility into actuality. So we reached a point where we stopped exploring, we stopped playing, and we stopped seeing other people as playmates, and instead we see other people as, strangers. We see them as, uncertainties or risks. We see them as danger a lot of the time, And and then that's what it really comes down to. It comes down to risks. Like, what risks are you taking in life? And adventure inherently sort of has risk. That's part of its charm. It's part of its beauty. Is to risk. Very often is to risk your, risk death for ultimate freedom. And it's. And that's why it's so powerful, adventure, because that sense of freedom, that sense of realization of really being in the moment. If you are anywhere else other than in the moment, when you have to take off on a big wave, or when you put your kite up, if you're anywhere else, it's not going to work. You're going to get hurt. It's just not going to work. So it's about being aware. And that's what this whole paper is about. It's about being aware of the risks that you are taking. Because if you risk nothing, you risk everything. If we look at the person who is in their job that they can't stand because they're working for an asshole, they don't risk leaving that job because of financial security, or they don't know where to go for their next job, or this, that, and the other. They're just scared or whatever else. But they don't realize they're risking their happiness, their health, and those two things, happiness and health, are huge. If you're not happy and if you're not healthy, you're not you're not able to give to anyone else. They're your two fundamental things, because if you're not happy, you're not able to fully love yourself, like fully. I'm not saying you're not loving other people, you're not loving yourself to some degree, but there is more. If you can live in as much happiness and health as you have, the feeling of love and gratitude that you are able to be, not even to feel, because it's more than that. If you're able to be that, so on that note, let me just see I didn't miss anything. Well, to be honest, I kind of winged that a little bit. So if you want it word for word, you are going to have to read the book. But I will be doing chapter by chapter, because it's long enough. But if you want to download the book, I'll put the link underneath. And If not, subscribe, because I'll be doing another video at some point in the next week. And then, sure, if you want to hit like, that'd be fantastic as well. And then otherwise, I hope that gave you something, anything. And if that didn't give you something, maybe the next chapter will. So, subscribe, like, and have an incredible day. And check out my gorgeous sunflowers.